Welcome to Tokyo Wave, recorded in a live studio in Harajuku, Japan, with your hosts Aaron and Parker. All right, everyone, welcome to episode 43 of Tokyo Wave. We're your hosts, Aaron Randall
and Parker Allen. On Tokyo Wave, we bring you weekly updates from our studio in Harajuku.
Join us in segments featuring this week's top news,
political happenings,
business,
and other random garbage.
To get us started, here are this week's top news highlights.
Prime Minister Suga and President Biden agreed to strengthen Japan-US alliance in first phone conversation.
COVID-19 vaccines for elderly in Japan estimated to begin in April at earliest.
Tokyo police rule out theft in incident with ruby worth $29 million.
This week in Japan. All right, our first news story. Prime Minister Suga and President Biden agree to strengthen Japan-US alliance in first phone conversation.
Kyodo News reported that on January the 27th, U.S. President Joe Biden reaffirmed the United States' commitment to defend Japan in his first phone call with Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga, striking a note of reassurance.
Biden and Suga agreed to work closely to realize a free and open Indo-Pacific region.
Biden reiterated the United States' unwavering commitment to protecting the Senkaku Islands.
Suga is keen to build close ties with Biden amid mounting security challenges, including China's military buildup and North Korea's nuclear and missile development programs.
Suga told reporters after the roughly 30-minute conversation that he hopes to visit the United States as soon as possible.
After Biden thanked Suga for agreeing to hold the talks after midnight Tokyo time, the two agreed to refer to each other by their first names, Yoshi and Joe, to demonstrate the closeness of their countries' bilateral relationship.
So Joe, how's that Trans Am doing?
It's going pretty good there, Yoshi. She's a real beaut, I tell you. Did you receive those sunglasses I sent you? They're a signature pair.
So just last week, China passed legislation authorizing Coast Guard ships, which it frequently sends near the Senkakus, a disputed island chain between China and Japan, as well as into the disputed South China Sea, to use weapons against foreign ships deemed to be involved in illegal activities.
Katsunobu Kato welcomed the United States, mentioning the Senkaku's issue, saying, "It is very meaningful that the United States reiterated the intent to further strengthen the deterrence of the Japan-US alliance under the Biden administration."
Suga and Biden agreed to work with Australia and India, fellow members of the so-called Quad of regional democracies, to step up defense cooperation amid concerns over China's growing assertiveness across the Indo-Pacific region.
The leaders also affirmed cooperation in tackling global issues, including the coronavirus pandemic, which has killed more than 2 million people worldwide, and upended the economies of both countries, as well as climate change.
Suga welcomed Biden's decisions to return to the 2015 Paris Agreement on curbing carbon emissions and not to withdraw from the World Health Organization.
Biden and Suga also talked about North Korea. They agreed on the necessity of complete denuclearization in line with UN Security Council resolutions, and Suga called for Washington's support in resolving the issue of North Korea's abduction of Japanese nationals in the 1970s and 1980s.
One thing Biden and Suga did not discuss was the Tokyo Olympics, which is interesting because of recent reports that Japan is seeking Biden's support of the Games amidst the current cloud of uncertainty whether they will go forward as planned this July.
So, Yoshi, you guys looking forward to the Olympics out there?
Well, I think we're going to be talking about a potential contender or an opposing party to the Tokyo Olympics later in this episode.
That's right. We have a new option for where it could possibly be held.
Yes, and it's none other than Dun dun dun! Florida.
We'll cover the subject in more detail in the Weird Thing of the Week.
Next up, COVID-19 vaccines for elderly in Japan estimated to begin in April at earliest.
The Mainichi has reported that Japan's minister in charge of administrative reform, Taro Kono, indicated that COVID-19 vaccines for elderly people aged at least 65, a priority group of inoculations, are expected to begin sometime in April at the earliest.
Kono said on January 27th, vaccinations for the elderly will begin on April the 1st at the earliest. I'd like local governments to prepare with this schedule in mind.
Kono conveyed the information in an online meeting with Tokushima Governor Kamon Izumi, president of the National Governors Association, and others before speaking with reporters in Tokyo.
The Japanese government planned to have elderly individuals aged 65 or older, whose numbers are estimated to be about 36 million people, subsequently begin receiving vaccines between late March and early April.
As for when vaccinations will begin for the general public, he commented,
I don't know about that yet.
And so for people aged 65 or younger, which I would imagine include many of our listeners here in Japan, the schedule is yet unclear, but it's looking to be June at the very earliest, if not, of course, later in the year.
No, that's true. But, it's good they're rolling this out as soon as March for 65 and older. I think, if we want to reach some level of herd immunity, getting that population as much as possible vaccinated is probably the top priority.
Yes, and you see a lot of countries around the world have already started rolling out vaccinations, but as the countries roll these vaccinations out, we're also seeing a lot of criticisms on how these countries are handling their vaccination programs, and lots of countries' schemes for making these vaccinations happen have been criticized as sort of hastily put together and not very strategic. With cases, of course, the big thing with these vaccinations is that they don't last a long time. So if they are not effectively distributed, you have cases where, hundreds or thousands of vaccines go bad with no one to receive the vaccines because of mismanagement.
I'm just imagining 20 years later, there's a documentary called 2020, and they're interviewing a Pfizer scientist. And he's like, I was sleeping 1 hour a night, nonstop calls. Jesus, they wanted a 20-year vaccine in 3 months. I mean, we were just throwing stuff in there, man. Just whatever we could find.
Yeah, I don't think history is going to look too kindly on this pandemic situation we're having right now.
Not to discourage people from getting the vaccine. I know a lot of doctors that have spoke highly about the Pfizer vaccine in particular. I mean, hey, 95% protected against COVID is not bad, right?
I think it all comes down to everything we do in life has a risk attached to it. So, I mean, a vaccination, maybe there's a non-zero risk that something bad might happen, but there's also a non-zero risk in, going snowboarding or, going out with your friends for a fun, friendly night of getting wasted.
Right.
So I think really, the vaccination, I plan on getting the vaccination. I think you do too. And generally, I think it's probably one of the lower risk things that we'll probably end up doing in our lives.
All right, and up next, Tokyo police rule out theft and incident with ruby worth $29 million.
Kyoto also reported that Tokyo police have ruled out theft in an incident involving a rough ruby worth approximately 3 billion yen, which is about 29 million USD, that was originally reported stolen on January the 27th in central Tokyo during negotiations for a sale.
The incident in Ginza was believed instead to be the result of a disagreement between the female owner of the ruby and the man who had been consigned to sell it.
According to Tokyo police, the woman left the ruby in the possession of the man around a year ago, but is believed to have requested its return after he failed to sell it.
Police said the ruby's owner left with the ruby after meeting with him on Wednesday.
The police are currently questioning both parties to confirm the details.
The ruby was originally believed to have been snatched after the man called police around noon and said 2 men had fled the scene with the gemstone.
And so basically, this guy was asked to sell the ruby. The lady asked for it back. And then for some reason, he decided to report it stolen. Isn't this weird?
They stole it. I had no control over the situation.
I mean, maybe he was trying to make an insurance claim or something. I mean, it's
It's too fishy. I mean, like he was obviously trying to steal the ruby, right? And blame it on somebody else.
They came. They said, "Give us the ruby or we will cut off your Johnson."
Sir, what did the thief look like? He looked Asian.
That's from. Have you seen that? You know what I'm talking about?
What?
That's from Cable Guy with Ben
Yeah,
Stiller.
that's right.
Like they're describing who killed him with the shotgun or whatever. Like he was Asian.
I mean, the only thing that could make this story even funnier is if, like, maybe there was a foreigner involved, or maybe there was also some other thing that was damaged in this, kerfluffle. They also pissed on my rug. It really brought the room together.
They took a shit in my house. Look, it's right over there.
Sir, we examined the feces in your apartment and ran a DNA test, and sir, the feces they're yours.
Oh, I can't believe it.
I had a lot to drink that night. I don't exactly remember. Don't you guys understand?
I really feel like the Tokyo police are holding out on us because there's definitely some funny details that are being withheld regarding this investigation.
Oh, for sure. I mean, a $29 million ruby is being sold at Ginza. Do they have like stuff for sale at Ginza that's within that price range normally?
I guess they did until like last Wednesday.
I mean, we've both been to Ginza.
It is currently off the market.
I mean, we've both been to Ginza, and I mean, they have really, really nice high-end shops and luxury shops, etc. But I mean, $29 million, like.
I imagine there's just secret alleyways somewhere, between some, hostess club and Louis Vuitton where they deal in these ridiculously expensive gemstones. But I've never been invited there myself, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, they must have some kind of gemstones, rubies, and vaults or whatever. But this is kind of surprising. I mean, it's almost the kind of thing you don't really want getting out in public, right? Your store, we've got about 20 or $30 million gemstones in our store.
It sounds like something out of a James Bond movie,
Oh, for sure. All right, and coming up next on Weird Thing of the Week, we're going to be talking about a Florida official who has offered to host the Tokyo Olympics if Tokyo backs out.
You're now listening to Tokyo Wave.
So Reuters has reported that Florida's chief financial officer has asked the International Olympic Committee to consider relocating the 2021 Games to the Sunshine State amid speculation that Tokyo organizers may back out as hosts due to concerns about the COVID-19 outbreak.
Tokyo organizers have vowed to press ahead with the rescheduled games, which are due to open on July 23rd after being postponed for a year because of the coronavirus. But Florida's Jimmy Patronus has offered an alternative option.
So Patronus said in his letter to IOC's president Thomas Bach the following: "Dear President Bach, I am writing to you as the chief financial officer for the state of Florida.
As a member of the Florida Cabinet, I sit on the Enterprise Florida Incorporated Board of Directors, which is our state's business development unit. Today I'm writing to encourage you to consider relocating the 2021 Olympics from Tokyo, Japan to the United States of America, and more specifically to Florida. With media reports of leaders in Japan privately concluding that they are too concerned about the pandemic for the 2021 Olympics to take place, there is still time to deploy a site selection team to Florida to meet with statewide and local officials on holding the Olympics in the Sunshine State. I would welcome the opportunity to pitch Florida and to help you make the right contacts to get this done. Or, as we say in Florida, get her done. Unlike other states where the COVID-19 vaccine comes to Florida, it doesn't just sit on the shelf wrapped in government red tape. It moves fast to protect our communities. We love sports in Florida, and we have successfully allowed these here sports to take place during the pandemic. When most states shut down like a bunch of sissies, the city of Jacksonville hosted the UFC, and the NBA set up the bubble to hold games in Orlando. Moreover, during football season, you know we like football, we had the NFL and college teams competing on Florida soil. Additionally, we have Disney and Mickey Mouse and all the other fun Disney characters open and operating safely in Florida. In fact, Disney serves as an amazing model for how to run a complex organization in the middle of this here goddamn pandemic. As a tourism state, Florida has welcomed 131 billion tourists in 2019, and our state has ample hotel and transportation networks to accommodate the kind of infrastructure required for undertaking this sort of event. Florida has 20 commercial airports, 31 rapid transit teams, and a shit ton of alligators for fun for the whole family. More importantly, I think we have a state with leaders such as yours truly who are willing to get her done. You know, I've always believed that sports and competition makes our world a better place, especially when the United States is kicking the world's ass, and these athletes demonstrate to the children around the world that USA is number one, and that when you work hard and put your mind to something, especially if you're American, anything is possible. Whatever precautions are required, let's figure it out and get her done. Please contact my office at 888-123 Get Her Done to schedule a meeting. Sincerely, Jimmy. P.S. I'm enclosing with this here letter a video message from our Chief Get Her Done officer, Billy Joe.
Welcome to the Sunshine State, home of the 2021 Olympic and Special Olympic Games. We know that you're going to love what we have to offer the people of the world. We here in Florida take great pride in our space shuttle, our Mickey Mouse, and our guns. Rest assured, you can and will be treated to the best firearms in our sunny state. If you see any of them commie bastards, we'll make sure you got the buckshot to call it a day. We heard y'all like gators, so we're gonna put them in the pool for the swimming events. You ain't ever seen old Michael Phelps swim so fast. And since we got some kick-ass casinos, you can bet who's gonna win. Personally, I'm betting on the gator. Contrary to public opinion, our state has also completely conquered the coronavirus crisis. We had this persnickety science lady who claimed that there were 15,000 cases a day. Well, we thought that was malarkey, and we threw her in a ditch so deep she ain't ever gonna see the light of day. So, we're ready to roll. No vaccine needed. We know y'all are scared of those pesky hurricanes, which just so happen to start whooping up right around July, the time of the Olympics. But we have a solution. Our governor has spoken with all the megachurch pastors who have talked to Jesus, and Jesus has his holy word that he's gonna hold them back until September. So, Olympics fans of the world, come on down to Florida, because we're gonna have a hell of a time with these here games.
Move on over there, Billy Joe. My name is Jimmy, Chief Money Man of the great state of Florida, and I approve this message. Get her done.
In an email to Reuters, the IOC said it has not received a letter from Patronus and referred to the statement issued last Friday that said it is committed to having the Olympic Games in Tokyo this year.
So I guess that means they didn't see the video message either.
Yeah. Such a disappointment. Maybe that video could have really changed their minds.
Yeah, I mean, Florida Olympics, doesn't it just sound like an awesome idea?
I mean, you could put the two words together, Florida Olympics.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So, given all of the planning and preparations necessary to host an Olympics, it is virtually impossible to relocate the event within 6 months of the scheduled opening ceremony. But Florida is the state that invented Imagineers, so maybe anything is possible.
Yeah. So Florida's death toll from the novel coronavirus has topped 25,000. The cumulative death toll from the virus in Japan topped 5,000 over the weekend.
So we would be going from Japan to a state with, what's the population of Florida?
It's about 21 million, so almost the population of the greater Tokyo area.
So Aaron, I just did some math, and it looks like with these proportions, you are 38 times more likely to die in Florida than you are in Japan.
Yeah, it's the numbers in Florida are so bad. My family in Florida, half of which work in hospitals, have urged me to not come back, telling me you are so much safer in Japan. I mean, this news is appalling to those who have a brain in Florida because it's so bad, man. Like, and the death rate is so high too, right?
Maybe they should have prayed to Jesus about that. Well, this news was all over Japanese TV this morning, and I think it is perceived by Japan as an insult. And a silly one at that, because it's logistically impossible.
Right. It's logistically impossible and logically very, very stupid.
But apparently nobody told this to Jimmy or Billy Joe.
So, getting into the domestic politics of Florida, we have quite the psychotic governor, Rick DeSantis, who is notorious now for, as we joked about, he completely shut down the data science team that was tracking the number of COVID cases in Florida. He told everyone it's okay to not wear a mask during peak COVID season. During one of the lockdowns, he opened everything back up, even though the numbers were skyrocketing. Sorry to go to quite a dark tone, but being from Florida, it's quite it enrages me.
But wouldn't you want to put a smile on the face of the little kids in Florida by bringing the Olympics?
We got Mickey Mouse here. Come on, the kids got to be smiling. We can't talk about all these deaths every day. It's 2021. The coronavirus should be over by now.
Don't focus on coronavirus. We've got Michael Phelps getting chased by a gator. What's not to like?
In the spring, it's gonna go away. What did Trump say? It's gonna.
And then spring break's gonna happen. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah. And then boom, coronavirus spreads across the world thanks to spring break in Florida.
Isn't that it's sort of seen as one of the key instigators in the spike in cases was like spring break last year in Florida?
Dude, yeah, they tracked it down to 20 college students as well. I think 10 of which were from UCF. And they were at a specific location. It was a huge cluster. And after this big party, they all went back to different parts of the northern east coast of the U.S., Boston, New York, and everything. And that was another huge, as you said, agitator to spread the virus. Because as you can imagine, a spring break in Florida is just complete. People are, doing belly shots off of each other.
Honestly, reading this letter, which, we might have editorialized it just a little bit, but...
Just a little.
It's pretty much verbatim.
Yeah.
And you look at it and it's like, was this dictated to some secretary after like a 3-day long rager at the governor's mansion?
No, they're just living in a parallel universe, man. Like I said, they've shut down any kind of scientific or medical thought or opinion. And yeah, it's really amazing that they even are doing this, even though this is really will probably go down as just a PR stunt and, a political game. But still, I mean, it's just so nuts. It's unbelievable.
It's pretty funny, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it's
It's like, we heard y'all liked CSI Miami, so you'll love the Twilight Zone, Florida.
So guys, we just got a letter from what's his name, Yoshi in Japan. He said that Japanese. He said they'll go along with the games, but we got to move half of it down to Miami. I know we got reports that the cases are worst in Miami, probably the worst part in the U.S. But everybody seems to know about Miami thanks to this show, CSI Miami.
So we think it'll be fine.
Oh, let's move the games down there then.
I mean, God,
We've got all those keys. We could just put one game on one key and we'd be fine because we've got like 5,000 keys.
People can just fly down, take a boat down to the different keys. It'll stimulate the economy down there too.
Speaking of stimulation, apparently if you do enough cocaine, you're going to be immune to the coronavirus. I know that's what I'm doing to keep me from getting the coronavirus.
Did you mention to that Yoshi in Japan that we got the largest amount of cocaine in the U.S.? My God, we're the epicenter of the drug trade for the entire East Coast of the United States. That's got to get some of them on the bandwagon.
We didn't even talk about those casinos yet.
So in closing, Florida Olympics, unlikely, but damn, is that a funny story.
absolutely. Hey, listeners, that's right. You listener right there.
Who do you think should be our next guest on Tokyo Wave? Let us know. Drop us a line at wave@tokyowave.jp.
We hope you enjoyed Tokyo Wave.
If you haven't already, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
Join us again next week on Tokyo Wave.
Get her done!